welcome to Jewel TV. I'm Julia Callaher, broadcasting to you live from Bend, Oregon. And we have our first mini mentoring session today with Marianne Vanicek. I'm so excited to introduce you to her in just a few minutes. But of course, first off, as always, we're gonna go through our little administrative stuff here and tell you how to get the archives and all that good stuff. So of course, today is episode, is it 22 or 23, Belinda? I think it's 22. I don't know, I'm getting myself reorganized here. But anyway, we have an exciting episode for you today. We're going to talk to Marianne about her branding, her studio, kind of help her see some things in her business to elevate everything up to a new level. And of course, we just found out that she's like 9 months pregnant. So we're going to talk all about that, balancing work and life as a mom and trying to be an entrepreneur as well. So welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started here. As always, this is Jewel TV. Thank you so much, Marianne, for being with us today. It's so wonderful to see you. How are you this morning?
I am doing wonderful. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. And of course, this is our first mini mentoring session. We've had some little technical hiccups and Marianne has been so patient with us this morning dealing with everything. But good morning to you out there in Facebook, brought to you by Jewel TV. So if you want to see the archives or download the freebies from previous episodes, go to jewel-tv.com and you're going to log in. You're going to kind of put in your email address. And of course, if you want access to the free thing, the only thing we ask for is that email address of yours. We promise not to be annoying with daily emails and things like that. But Marianne is going to let us take an inside look at her studio, see what she's doing. We're going to look at her pricing. We're going to break her website down. The biggest question today is, does the brand match the price? So we're going to address things like her brand overall. How does her brand look to a client? From the outside looking in, how does she appear to the outside world? Number two, we're going to talk about her pricing and break things down. Is she priced for profit? And then number three, we're going to discuss, does it fit? Does the brand, the work, her portfolio, and her price match to give an impression where the client goes, yes, I want to hire this girl. She looks awesome, and we're so excited to work with her. So first things first, Marianne, we're going to break down your pricing, okay? And I was actually super impressed because when I first looked at your pricing, so often I see photographers who, they're priced too low, and it's challenging for them because my screen here is not, there we go, exit so I can see you, there we go. Their pricing is like really low and they're not priced for profit, and it's a challenge to not only get the brand up there, but then they actually need to make some money. So I'm super proud of you, number one.
Yay.
I took a quick overview of your pricing and it was good to see. So before we get heavily into it and I show everyone, I wanted to ask you a few questions so that kind of people get to know you a little bit. First of all, you've been in business 2.5 years?
Yes, ma'am. 2.5
years. And you got to show everyone your belly because it's like so cute. It's not even funny. You would never guess that she's like 9.5 months pregnant, right? Your due date's in what?
It's there.
Is it 2 weeks for your due date?
Yes, 2 weeks.
Holy cow. And could you mind sharing, or is it's a girl, right?
Yes, it's a girl. My first girl's Emmeline and this one's going to be Elise.
Oh, how cute is that? Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Okay, and so we were chatting earlier. So I have to brag about what a Wonder Woman you are because where are you based out of?
Fort Hood, Texas.
Fort Hood, Texas. So is that Central Texas?
Yeah, it's about an hour from Austin, 3 hours from Dallas. It's
right in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm such a Magnolia Market freak.
Oh yeah, I'm an hour from there.
Yeah?
When I saw you were there, I was like, oh my gosh, I should have went there.
Oh, I am so addicted to that place. It's really bad. I can go in there and spend $1,000, no problem.
It is so busy there. Yes.
But I think part of it's just the allure. It's like the oh, I'm near Joanna Gaines.
I know.
Anyway, that's awesome. So, but you were saying that the blue bonnets. So for people who are not even in this country, what is a blue bonnet and what are you doing around that?
Blue bonnets are these flowers. They pop up in Texas, but they're only here for 2 weeks. So it's this huge thing. Everyone wants pictures in the blue bonnet. So every photographer does blue bonnet sessions. So you basically do them back to back. And I still do IPS with all of my mini sessions too, though. So I have 8 of them, and Elise will be 8 days old.
Oh my God. You're doing 8 of them back to back, and your daughter's going to be 8 days old at the time. Are you crazy?
A little bit, yes.
And you've got like sessions on the books after that, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, girl. I was telling
Yes.
Belinda earlier, I'm like, she's Herculean. Like I have no doubt that you're going to be successful in business just because you've got that like determined type A personality.
I hope.
So
I'm going to be a
awesome.
zombie, but we'll do it.
Who cares? Zombie. No worries.
We'll make it.
That's wonderful. And well, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Second of all, okay, so let's talk a little bit about your pricing and your sales. You do IPS, right?
Yes.
You've been doing it for how long and how's it
The
going?
IPS I've only been doing for a year. So been taking clients for 2 years, but IPS the second year.
Okay, so and how's it going? Like, do you like it? Is it?
Oh, I love it.
You love it. Why?
I love it. Yes, and on my pricing, I did used to have the option just to buy all of the digitals at a little bit lower, and everyone was purchasing those, and I was making a good profit, but it just doesn't fulfill me to give digital.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like they got their money's worth.
Yeah.
So I have to include products with everything.
Yeah. There's Beth. Say hi to Beth. Hi, Beth. Why do you like IPS? Like, is it seeing that reaction from everybody? What's the draw?
Yeah, because whenever you uploaded it to the gallery and you sent them off, sometimes you would never hear back from people, and you're like, did you like them? Like, I don't even know what's going on. But now I see them right here. I see them crying. I see them like, oh my gosh, I love all of these. I don't know how to pick. And you know that at that moment, their investment was worth it. So
yes.
I feel like I connect with them. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I hear you.
And then I feel like you're so much more personal with them because you've met them so many times versus you met them at the session and then just said their digitals over.
Totally. I hear you. And I think there's 2 schools of camp. I mean, some people definitely, it makes them like a little scared. They're like, I don't know if I want to do this. It's scary.
Right.
I hear you. Okay. So let's look at your pricing. So for those of you who are watching out there, you've got these 5 packages. And you start at around $5.99. Now, do you have a session fee, first of all?
Yes. So the session fee for just family or maternity is $150. For newborn, it is $200.
Okay. And the other thing that I found really fascinating that I just learned about you is that you're a military wife, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you travel, like you bounce around, like it's 2 years and you're done, right?
Yes.
You got to move on. How many times?
This month we've been here 2 years.
This month you've been here. So this is the first market you started your business in. Is that accurate?
Yes. Okay. Georgia. I was in Georgia before, but I took on free clients to learn how to shoot.
Naturally. Everybody does. Cool.
Yes.
Okay. So, so you're going to move again one more time?
Yes.
Okay.
We should be the end of the summer or the beginning of the fall.
Okay. And that's hard, like to move and restart over again. Are you going to have to do that a lot, or what's the thought there?
He is actually put in his packet to get out. So we are looking to go to a big city, which will be great for me. So that's where we're trying to go. And so we should be stabilized in an area for a little while. So that will be new to me.
That'll be nice. That'll be super nice. What's cool is that you can like learn and make some mistakes where you are now.
Right.
And, once you get to the new market, you're like, I know how to do this. Like, I'm
right. That's what I'm hoping.
Right. Okay. Well, let's look at your pricing here. So I'm going to start at the very top, your diamond collection. You have album or a wall collection, right? Is that kind of what I'm seeing there?
Yeah. So they can either choose the wooden blocks or the canvas or the album. So I like to give them the album always pulls them to the top. So I only give the option to choose that album in that top package.
Okay. And so they get a mounted print, some gift prints, accordion minis, and then all their images on USB, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if they want to add on more, they get 50% off.
Yeah. And so those are big for Military Town because their family always wants to add on. And so that's what those web postings are on there. I post them on that gallery and they'll have proof written over them. Of course, it's after they purchased their package already.
Perfect.
I'll post them on there and then the family can order any of that stuff for those prices over there.
Perfect. Okay. So then as we go down, so the platinum collection, you also get all your images, and then it's just smaller art.
Yes.
But same concept overall. And then the gold package is it's simpler, and
you start losing digitals.
Yeah, you start losing digitals. I see that. And then silver, we have 8 files and then a canvas of some kind. Okay, and I'm from what I see, your costs are definitely in the right range. Like cost of goods is 20% or below is kind of what I'm feeling. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
All of them should be below the 20%. And the bottom, I think my cost is around $36, 36 to 38.
Sweet, that's below 10%.
So even if they choose that.
I love it. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, you're definitely making money off these packages, which I like to see. You're priced for profit. Now, what package, based on kind of your experience, and I know you've only been in business for 2.5 years, so you're probably not overflowing with clients yet, but what is the average? Like, what do most people purchase?
So it's different if they do maternity and newborn. I will get maternity. They will choose a lower package, typically the $7.99. But then for the newborn, they choose one of the top 3.
Yeah, because they want all those files. They want all those
yes.
files.
Yeah, they can't narrow those down to just the 8 digitals for the newborn.
Perfect. And I'm going to show your work here in a minute, but one of the reasons why that is because you do really beautiful work. And
thank you.
I haven't seen a full session, but my gut tells me that you have so much variety in that session that they have a really hard time like leaving things out, like dropping images on the floor and like walking away from them. Is that kind of what your experience is in IPS? Like they kind of look at it and go, I can't decide, let's just do platinum package, that way we get them all kind of thing?
Yes, and sometimes they'll go for the gold and they'll pay for it, but then they'll get home and they'll say, I can't, I have to change to the
right.
I have to go up more. And so it's happened this 3 times already, and I'm like, yay. So yeah, I guess they talk to their husbands and they're like, I just need this, because a lot of times the husbands can't go, they're either training or they deployed or
yes.
So they'll call them and then they upgrade.
Well, and it's awesome because if you look at the price of gold, for everybody else out there, it's $9.99, and then the price of platinum is $12.99. So it's $299 more, and you get probably twice the number of images, right? On disk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get, you can choose your canvas. So you get 2 canvases. So literally you get almost twice the amount of product for only $299 more.
Right.
That right there is golden, because that offers that incentive. The client looks at that and goes, oh my gosh, for $299, I get 2 16x20s or a larger canvas or the Organic Love Collection and all my images. What am I thinking? Of course, I need to just upgrade. So that's brilliant strategy in your terms, on your part, Marianne, of really incentivizing the client to move up in your pricing. So I'm super proud of you there.
Thank you.
So I don't really see an issue with your pricing, especially if you're selling that gold platinum package a lot, kind of more often than not. Do you think that's the case, or?
Yeah, and I actually just added the diamond, I think last month. And so the platinum now has been bought more than I've added that diamond.
And that's exactly what I would anticipate would happen, because that big whopper up top, everybody goes, oh, I don't need that. I don't need to go that extravagant. And then they feel like they're reining it in.
Right.
And it justifies spending $12.99 on their session. So combine that, and you said your newborn session fee was what, $200 you said?
$200, but most do the newborn and the maternity, but I knock off the session fee, the $50, if they book them together.
Okay.
So it would technically be the 200 added to that if it was just for newborn.
Perfect. So that's $14.99 for a newborn session, which I am perfectly happy with those kind of numbers, especially in your area. I mean, the cost of living in Texas is generally lower than most areas in the world anyway. And so, not the world, but in the US. And so for you to be averaging, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 per sale makes my heart very happy. So that's a good thing. And that tells me that you're, pre-selling, you're doing a decent pre-consultation, and that you're really getting the client to think about what they want to do. Is that accurate? Am I right in saying that?
Yes, I think so.
Awesome. Okay. So then you have your a la carte products. Now, here's my question. Can someone come in and just purchase a la carte?
They can, but they don't.
They don't. Why do you
No.
think that is?
Well, I did have my gift prints at 35 and they were. So I took that off. So now they think it is absurd to spend $50 for one print, which it is.
Yes.
So they don't even go that option.
Good. Okay. Well, that's
so
good.
I don't want to force someone to buy a package if they don't want to. So
Yes.
you can absolutely do that. But the probability of you picking one 8x10 out of 30 images is, it's pretty impossible.
It is pretty low. It'll happen. It might
Right.
happen. But I always say to my students, your averages are on a bell curve. You want, what I'm talking about in statistics, the bell curve. Like,
right.
Most people are going to spend a certain amount, and that's kind of what you want to try to determine, so that like that $1,000 average that you want.
Yes.
There will be outliers. There's going to be people who, go the whole enchilada and get the diamond package plus, $1,000 in add-ons kind of thing. And then you're going to get the person who's like, oh, I just want, a couple gift prints and a 16x20. And then they're out the door for like $300,
right.
which is going to be, it's going to make you so mad up to high heaven when that happens. But
yes.
It's going to be like once a year. And okay, chalk it up to being your outlier, your low sale, and then move on. The nice thing is that your $5.99 collection has a lot to offer in it that's so much more value. So with that being said, if I look at like your 11x14 fine art canvas and 5 gift prints, if you price that a la carte, it's a way better deal to just go with the package. So I think that's where you were really strategic in your pricing. So I'm super proud of you for that. So you have some really cool products. You have good pricing. We're going to look at your images. We're going to look at your products here in a second, just to get an overall feeling of the brand, because we wanted to talk about whether the brand matched the price. So let's look at your work. Darling, I love it. Such images. Very nice. Very professional. Can you guys believe she's only been shooting for 2 years? It like makes me want to stick my hand down my throat and go, oh.
Well, I watched you on Creative Live. That did help.
Yay, thank you. These are beautiful. You're doing a really nice job. Your lighting is gorgeous. And this is not an easy image to capture because of all the pink and the pink skin tone, and processing this is a challenge. So you did a really, really nice job. Same with this. You've got beautiful lighting in here, nice flat backdrop, no wrinkles, darling posing. So I'm super proud of you with your work. The work is definitely speaks to the price, I think.
Yay.
And that's why that makes me super happy. So, and here's another one, a little teddy bear and your watermark and your logo on the image there. So, and we talked about this briefly earlier, but we're going to chat a little bit about consistency and branding, and that logo, which is darling, but I want to see that everywhere. And guys, for the rest of you watching out here, you'll see when I show her website that there's a little inconsistency in the brand, and we're gonna try to improve that here as she and I talk some more. But here's some of her outdoor work. You have this really golden, glowy look to your images, gorgeous ability to backlight. I mean, this is just, there's nothing wrong with this at all, hun. It's beautiful. I'm sure Mama loved it to death. Same here. Of course, that sun is a little hot in the corner, but I mean, this is minor stuff. Otherwise, you chose to shoot backlighting on a dark background, which is the way to do it without blowing out your skies. Really nice job. Pretty posing. Mama looks great. I'm sure she loved this. And then product-wise, you've got these beautiful products. I mean, now this is like a storyboard. Is that kind of part of, is this album?
That's one of the albums.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about this. Like, where do you price this at, and what album is it, and where do you get it?
This is the 10x10. I get it from WHCC. I just put together a collage, and I do the same collage for everybody. So I just literally have to put the pictures in there. It takes me maybe 10 minutes to put in there. And they can fit around 25 pictures in there.
Nice. And what do you charge for this?
It's in the top package.
Got it.
Yeah, so they can get the 24x36 canvas or the wood collage or the album.
Awesome. Okay. And this is like a crystal block, right?
Yeah, that's the acrylic block. A lot of them will add that on for the husband's desk.
Got it.
At work.
Very cute. And I'm sure you show that in the IPS appointment and all.
Yes.
That. Then, of course, you offer like gallery wrap canvas. I also saw that you offered framed canvases too, right? Kind of.
Yes.
I call it an exhibition mount here in my studio.
Oh, okay.
Offer the same thing, but yeah, beautiful. You're showing the product, and I saw that you have these images on your website, which really made me happy to see that you have product shots on your website so the client is really ingrained to print. Like they understand that when they come to MJS Studio or photography that you're going to print something, which
Right.
is awesome. Like, yeah, that's planting the seed of the sale. So is this the album that you showed us earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the album.
Nice. It's beautiful. It's very pretty, classic. Does it just have like a leather or linen cover? Is that kind of what the cover's like?
Yeah, it's called a charcoal vintage leather.
Yes.
And then it has the aviator. There's an aviator brand too, where it's like the browns mixed in with the black, but I have both samples at the studio for them to see.
I remember. Is this a White House album or a book?
It's the premium luster album.
That's right. So it's like the thick board pages. And
yes, yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So then of course we have, and honestly, this isn't your image, so I didn't really want to show it too much.
Right.
Taking these out, but that's okay. You do the wood blocks, and this is your image here.
Yes.
So the wood blocks. And so where do you get these from? Where do you source these?
They are from Slovenia. They, so her and her husband make them. She learned from her dad. She's been doing it for a very long time. The quality is fantastic. It took me forever to find someone that I really, so you don't want the wood to show through on the faces, and most places it does, but you can see the wood grain in the texture in person. So yeah, they're from Slovenia. It's called Memories in Wood.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and I know it's hard to find a vendor who prints well on wood because the wood warms up the image like so much that sometimes you can't really predict how it's going to print on the wood.
Yes.
And I don't see that here. Is that the case? Is it?
No, and it looks a tiny bit warmer right there just in the picture, but it's not on the wood.
Nice. Very cool. Okay, so you're offering a really high quality product line. You've got decent pricing. Your images definitely match the brand. You know, like I see a lot of like awesomeness here. I'm like, okay, everything's coming together. And but then I'm like, okay, where can we find the holes? Like what can we improve and how can we elevate things further? Now, do you mind me asking, sweetie, like how many clients per month you're shooting?
About 5 or 6.
Okay. It's a good number. I mean, for being in business 2 years, super proud of you. And that's kind of, you're a one-man shop, right? It's just you?
Yes, just me.
And that's about as much as I'd want to handle on my own.
Yeah, I really can't, especially with Elise coming. I can't take more than 5 or 6. So I'm technically right now booked till June. So
nice. Perfect. So we're not worried so much about bookings. What we're more worried about is like really refining and making the business live up to everything that you want it to be, right? Is that
absolutely? Yeah. And when I move, I'll obviously have to start over. So I want to make sure I'm in the right place.
Yes, totally. Okay. So let's break down your studio. Just sent me this little iPhone panorama, which I love. Look at your adorable space. So this is like a 180 shot from an iPhone, right? Like a panorama?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So talk to me about the space. I think you're sitting in that chair right now. Am I right?
Yes, I am. So that little bench over there, I move it over here to my desk, like catty cornered, where they'll come and I shut all those windows and I do all of the IPS right there at my desk.
Perfect.
I shoot all the beanbag right there. And the beanbag is right next to the wood drop. So I just have to swivel the light to do the sibling shots and the baskets and that kind of thing. And then just flip over to the beanbag. And then I have all my products right there in the wooden block. And in the little cart over there by the light switch. So when they come in and I do a consultation, I show them everything before they see the pricing. They know an average of what clients spend, but I kind of want them to see the products and fall in love with them before I show them packages.
Yeah, I see that.
And then that closet is obviously full of newborn props. They're like shoved in there. That
closet, right?
They are shoved in there. I don't open that.
Yeah, right. I totally can relate. You do not. Oh my gosh, it's always such a mess around here. This is awesome. Well, this is wonderful, sweetie. I hope you know that you are truly an inspiration to me and to, I'm sure, a lot of other people, because here you are working out of your home in a space that's tight, yet you're making it work and you're doing IPS without like a formal sales room. Like your studio, your IPS room is in the same room essentially.
Yes.
And you're managing to get a decent average of $1,000 or more per session. So I'm like, yeah, everything's working. Everything's right. Everything's again, like I said, it does match. Now I want to go in a little bit more and talk about where we can improve some things. And that is with your website. Okay. So I went to your website. You sent me, what's interesting, guys, for you, those of you watching, is she sent me all these pictures and her work and her pricing. And I was like, okay, what's the issue? Why, is there a problem? Maybe there's no problem. Maybe we're good and we're just like, and so I'm like, okay, there's gotta be a hole somewhere. Okay, well, I did find the hole, and it's definitely on the website, but super easy to break down. So when I look at your website, I see your gorgeous work, but after seeing your studio and your product line and the work and the pricing, I'm like, whoa, this doesn't look like the same business. Does that make sense? Like I went, oh my gosh, okay, this website is beautiful and it's good, but like the logos are not the same. I'm like, okay, MJ's Photography, I just saw a logo on your prints. So let me go up to it real quick here. There, see, that's your darling little logo, but then I'm like, where's that logo? I want to see that. That's the brand identity. That's the company. I want to see that on the website. And so I didn't see that on the website. And so I was like, okay, that's one thing that we can fix right away. Super easy to fix. We're going to tackle that and like make it happen. So what I want you to do, sweetie, is I want in the upper left corner, I want to see your gorgeous little logo. And if you want to put it like right where it says MJ's Photography right there, just below your menu line there, that would be awesome too. Now, what I love about your site is that you have tons of amazing information on there. It's light, it's fresh, it showcases your work really well. But when I looked at it at first, I was expecting a really modern, hip, kind of clean lined, industrial type brand. And yet when I see your studio, when I see your work, when I see the product line you're offering and the pricing and the fonts that you're using like on your pricing guide, I'm like, whoa, they don't match. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like,
yes,
I'm like, okay, I'm seeing more charming, I'm seeing more friendly, I'm seeing warm and fuzzy in your work and in your pricing guide and on your logo, yet I don't see that here on the website. Does that make sense?
Yes,
so,
it does.
I think just a few simple changes on your website is gonna like totally make everything like align and match. And that's what's cool, is that you don't have a lot to do. Which is awesome. So I want to go ahead and go to the actual website, and we're going to scroll around it a little bit here. I think I loaded it. Oh, no, that's our Facebook Live. Let me get my things here. There we go. Perfect. Can you see that okay? Can you see your website?
Yeah, I can see it.
Perfect. So yeah, so it's a darling fresh website. I see your work. It totally makes me happy. There's consistency in most of the work. And then some of it I'm like, whoa, I'm not sure that's the same photographer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like this image right here. It's a beautiful image. Don't get me wrong. And I know you do birth photography, but that was the first I even had an inkling that you did do birth photography. And so I'm like, oh, maybe she should like organize things a little different. Not that you can't do birth photography, but like, I would love to see you have perhaps like galleries here on the website that are like, okay, birth photography, newborn, on location with kids, on location families, studio newborns. Like, so people can like group the different sets of work you do into different areas. And then here on the beginning of the site, I would keep it like super niched, if that makes sense. So this is a really good question to ask that I haven't asked you before. Do you want to specialize in a certain genre of images? Like what's your calling in your heart there?
It is maternity newborn, but I do like doing the others too, but I don't want to specialize in those.
Okay.
So I do take those inquiries and I do a lot of those. I just don't try to post as much about it. So I don't know if that even really makes sense.
No, and that actually helps a lot, because what I would love to see you do is I would love to see you like on this first page, especially like just do maternity and newborn. Like I don't want to see, kind of homecomings or hospital or anything like that. While it's beautiful work, I want to see that like in its own gallery. So people who want to inquire about that know that you do it, but you really push yourself as niching in a specialty. And when you're trying to make a brand match a price or match a overall feel, niching is one of the most powerful things you can do to make that happen, because a client sees you as a specialist in a certain area, and kind of the psychological mindset goes like this. I mean, obviously they don't think about this consciously, but subconsciously in their head, they go, oh my gosh, she just does maternity and newborn. She must be really good if she specializes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's this weird mental mindset. And I liken it or compare it to for example, like say you have a German automobile, you've got a BMW, okay? And if
We do.
you're like, I do. And say you need it repaired and you're in a new town and you're like, okay, this is darling, by the way, these twins, I love that image. So say, for example, you have your BMW and it broke down and you like need a place to go get it fixed, right? And so you start searching on online, you see all these mechanics and these repair shops, but then you come across this guy who like specializes in German automobiles and particularly BMWs. Oh, ding, 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 ding. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, he's totally gonna serve my needs. He's gonna do it right. I love this guy. I don't care how much it costs because I know it's gonna get done right. It's gonna get done well, and it's gonna get done according to the manufacturer's specifications because he knows BMWs, right?
You're 100% right because my husband drives an hour and a half to do that.
Are you serious? See,
yes.
There you go. That is, oh my gosh, that makes my heart happy. So when you have a new, oh, this is so pretty, honey. That image was gorgeous. I like loved it. Look at that. It's stunning. That's exactly my point. So if a pregnant mama wants newborn pictures, she's going to look for somebody who specializes in maternity and newborn. And she will, if she loves the portfolio and the portfolio shows this consistency of work, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, that person is perfect. They do newborns. They specialize. They know what they're doing. I'm going to go to that person. Do you see what I'm saying? It like,
yes,
to make price no longer an issue because you're the specialist. If that
So it still would be okay to do a gallery on the first page, but just make it newborn maternity?
I would totally do that. Yeah, because you have some beautiful newborn maternity images, especially since I know you want to specialize in maternity.
Right.
So like, I would just do studio newborn and then maybe some outdoor maternity and just leave it at that. Don't confuse the viewer who comes to your website. Make them know right off the bat, I specialize in studio newborn and outdoor maternity. This is what I do. Now, does that mean that you can't have a listing of galleries of birth photography, of engagements, of families, of kids' cake smashes? Of course you can. That's exactly what I want you to do. You want people to know that you do these other things as well, but that your ultimate specialty is maternity, newborn, studio, and on-location maternity. And then that will attract that type of ideal client to your business. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
and
does.
That will clean up the site, and like your purpose will be so known to any potential client who comes to your site that they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is the person I want to hire. This is the specialist. Does that make sense? Are you following?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Then I saw your video here and it's really super cute. It's very cinematic. I love all the aerial photography. I think the only thing that concerned me about it is it took me to 1 minute and 45 seconds into the video to even see any of your work. So what I'd like to see, if you have time eventually, and I know this was a huge Herculean effort to make this thing, and it's really cool, but I want to see it move faster. Like you get in the car, you turn on the music, and that music transition into the music of the piece is really cool. You pull out of your garage and you're off to go shoot a session, and I love that. I want that to happen in like the first 10 seconds of the video.
Okay.
So that we
I
can
will
seeing your work.
Tell my husband because he made it.
He did a great job. How amazing to have a husband who does that for you. And of course the aerials and this is very cinematic. You know, you fly and follow you. It's like so cool. But I want to see that happen way sooner. And I want to see your work within the first like 20 seconds of the piece, maybe 30 seconds of the piece. And keep it tight and short because that's what your client wants to see. They want to see what you're doing and what the experience truly is like, not necessarily you getting in your car and going off to a session for the first minute and a half. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I think that he can tighten that edit up and it would be a much more impactful image video. And because video does do a lot to help the brand. And so I love seeing that on your site, and that is so awesome, but make it serve the ideal client. So that video needs to suck her in and like get her emotional and make her like, oh my gosh, I have to be at the studio. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. But kudos to hubby, man. I wish I had a hubby who could do that.
Well, that was the price of him buying that drone. It's like, how is this going to benefit me too?
Help me out. I had so much fun with that. That's awesome. So cute. Okay. And then like your about section is, awesome. I love it. Definitely in language in here, talk about like what you do for the client. Like the about me page is so hard because you want to talk about you and who you are, but you want to talk about it in terms of what you can do for the client. Like,
Okay.
because all they really care about is themselves, right? The client
Right.
just truly cares about what you're going to do for them. So like, put all this in there, but at the very beginning, you know, add a little tiny paragraph that talks about what you're going to do for them, like how you're going to make their life shine.
Okay.
Contact page is good. Of course, it's easy. You showcase the products, which I love. Of course, that gets people thinking about what they're going to do with their images. You have a huge thing here that says boutique products. That says to the consumer right away that they're going to print, and I love that. That's such a good thing. The pricing, of course, you talk about your pricing. I don't think you show full pricing here, but you definitely say where things start, your session fees. That's awesome. Clients invest in average. So you're not going to get a ton of tire kickers inquiring, a few, but I think
Yeah, I
that's
do get a
good.
few, but
I'm sorry, what?
I do get a few, but I've had so many people just go to there to test it for me to see if like that stands out, and everyone says it does, but I still do get probably one a month that they're like, oh, I didn't know it would be that much.
If it makes you feel better, I do too.
Yeah,
All the
okay,
time.
good.
People tire kick. It's just going to happen because people don't really read. And I think that's one of the biggest take home lessons for anybody in business is potential clients
Okay.
don't read. Like they just call, you know, trying to inquire, want you to tell them everything. And so that's
Right.
where you run into these tire kickers. I'd like to
Okay.
see a little bit more consistency of fonts. You know, you have this Josephine Sands font or Josephine font up here, and then there's a
Okay.
different font down here. So do you have a font package or pattern for your business? Do you have like all that
No, I just use the ones that came with the,
with the site? Yeah,
yes.
I understand. So, and that's okay. What I'd like to see is your fonts match your collateral. So if you are going to use the one on your site and you don't feel like you can change the one on your site, then maybe use that font in all your marketing collateral, your business cards, your pricing brochure, things like that. So that's super consistent.
Okay.
Always want in branding everything to coordinate and match. So if you like, my fonts are my religion pretty much. Like I don't ever let those fonts be different than what is in my marketing collateral. Like I want it to all look like it came from the same company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest critique that I would have of your website. And since the website is the first contact that a client has with you, I want to see that consistency there. I want your
Okay.
logo to be the same logo on every single piece of collateral, imagery, whatever that I see from you. I want that
Okay.
logo to be ultra consistent.
Okay.
Imagine the logo as being the face of the company. Like literally, I'll stop sharing here for a second and we can look at each other like, oh my gosh, I better lower my exposure. What happens on my camera? Like as the sun starts to come up, it gets brighter and brighter in here and my camera like
Oh.
yeah. Okay, so like you and I have a face, right? I look like me, you, Marianne looks like you, Marianne. And if that's how we are represented as people, right? Imagine your logo as that face of your company. So if you like had plastic surgery every single time you turned around, people would be like, whoa, who are you? I don't trust you. Like, remember the whole Renee Zellweger drama?
Yes.
And like, everyone's like, who is that? Like they couldn't even determine if it was really her or not. And like freaked everybody out. Don't be that in your company. Like
Okay.
always keep the face the same. I mean, your hair color can change, your outfit can change. In other words, the colors, the style of the work can change over time, but it's ultimately the face needs to stay extremely consistent because otherwise people don't recognize you for you. So I want to see, you know, MJ's photography be recognized by that logo and those fonts and the color scheme. And it sounds to me like based on looking at the pricing guide and the website that your color scheme is very neutral, like white, clean. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. And you're letting your work, which is beautiful, stand out against that white background, which I think is a simple and an extremely effective way to create a brand. I want to see those fonts become a lot more consistent. And I want to see when I look at your website and then you send me a piece of collateral or I get a business card or I see your studio, I want that all to be like, oh, same company. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. That's MJ's photography. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it comforts me as a client to know that it's all the same. And when it's all the same like that, it elevates the brand to a higher level. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think about, I always use Louis Vuitton because I love them, or Kate Spade, or just a brand that you and I are both familiar with. I mean, Kate Spade wouldn't dream of putting her name in any other font or any other way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's an obsession. It's like a religion for each company. Coca-Cola, that Coca-Cola thing, like you would remember when they came out with new Coke and everybody freaked out? I mean, I might be too young for that. Like they came out with new Coke, I think it was like in 1986, and everybody freaked out because the can was purple. I mean, or no, it wasn't purple. It was, they just had the new logo and people like freaked out. They're like, wait a minute, this is not Coke. And they had to go back to Coke Classic. Like it was a drama. So when companies do that, they really like, shoot themselves in the foot. So
Okay.
I want to see that consistency of logo and brand everywhere across the board. And then I think if you clean up the images on your site and organize them a little bit better, and then really showcase the niche that you want to create on that first homepage, clean up that video a little bit more, we're definitely going to see things go from A- to A+. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We're already doing really well. Let's just really refine things and like nitty gritty it and make everything stand out. But overall, girl, it matches. There's just little fine tuning things that you can do here. And if you're making your average and you're booking your clients, now it's just a matter of refining it, right? Do you still feel like you have some insecurities in your brand and like what's going on? What do you think can be better? I guess is what I should ask.
I feel it did take me a while to get used to the 4-digit numbers. I feel okay with them now.
Yeah.
Now that they go to my bank account, I feel okay with them.
Right? Right?
But at first, yes, when they would come in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified to show them this price list. They're going to have a heart attack. But now I feel okay showing it to them. I guess I don't know how to push them to the top one. I haven't had someone book that top one yet. And so to me, I'm like, what's lacking, I guess, in that top part.
Yeah.
And then I guess when I do move, I'm nervous because right now I get a ton of word of mouth.
Yeah.
And they obviously tell them she is expensive, but so a lot of the people who come to me, they already know what their friend invested.
Yeah.
So when I move, I start from no word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
the thought of that is overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get it. Well, let's screen share one more time. I want to talk to you first about what you asked in terms of pricing with that upper package. One of the issues that I do see here is there's not much of a huge differentiation between platinum and diamond.
Okay.
So really the only thing that's different is the top product, right? It's
right.
Doing that album or the Fine Art Canvas, and really the only time someone would go for the diamond thing is if they were truly interested in an album.
Right.
One of the ways you could do that is maybe upping the quality of that album, maybe making it a thicker album, doing options of image cover, doing a few more pages in it, doing like quotes and baby footprints and birth statistics and all that kind of stuff inside the album so that clients could like write a letter to their child kind of thing, and just adding that more custom quality to that package. And I think you'll probably sell a little bit more. But do you see kind of why that people aren't necessarily gonna jump to that top package? And also look at how you valued it. So on the platinum, you say value of over $2,700, and then on diamond, you say value of over $3,000. Yet the package is $300 more.
Right.
It's the same difference. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you add value to that diamond package and say, oh, this is a value of over, $3,500, $4,000, whatever, then all of a sudden people are like, oh, there is value there. Does that make sense?
Yes. But I think if I did up the album quality, then I need to up the price, because then the percentage isn't going to be worth it. But do you think it's okay for there to be a bigger gap there?
Let's look at what your costs are. So you have a Fine Art Canvas or Luster album. So what's that album cost you right now, and how many pages is it?
It's around 100, and it's the 10 pages, the 5 spreads.
Okay, and then we have an 11 by 14 mounted print, which probably costs you about $25, right? So 125, 8 gift prints, so 130 mini accordions, so 130, 150 we're at, plus the high resolution. So let's just, for poops and giggles, call it 175, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So 175 on a $15.99 package is a pretty decent cost of good. You could up it a little bit more if you wanted. You could also consider, let's see, You could also consider removing the accordion books from the platinum.
They all want those for the grandparents since they're military and they're not near family. They always are like, oh, I need those albums so I can give it to.
Yeah, and if that's in the diamond package, they're more likely to upgrade to the diamond.
Oh, so take it out of the platinum, you mean?
Yeah, take it out of the platinum.
Oh, okay.
Keep it in the diamond. And then like, so I have a top album that's, I'm thinking here, hang on. Thinking. Okay, so I use the Miller's album that's kind of the same, you know, it's the competitor to White House's.
Right.
I do a 10 by 10 album, 8 by 10 album with 20 pages in it, 30 pages, excuse me, and it's a $1,500 album.
Okay.
$1,200. I just changed everything. $1,200, I think. And I pay $160 for it. Okay. So I think you can probably upgrade the 10, like you could go to an 8 by 10 album that's 20 pages or an 8 by 8 that's 20 or 30 pages, because the number of pages doesn't cost you as much as the size upgrade at the lab.
Okay.
So what I might consider doing is going to like an 8 by 8, 20 or 30 page album. So there's more images in it, and then doing some custom graphics in there. Do you know how to like put in text and stuff in Photoshop in an album or something like that?
Yes, I'd have to, you know.
Learn a few
Yeah,
things.
I know how to do it, but it would take me a while, but I'd have to, I mean, I could learn.
Yeah, and you'd want to make a template so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time someone orders it, kind of thing. But that might be a way to like bring down the cost of that album, but up the quality of it, if that makes sense in the client's eyes.
Okay, yes.
And then give them like choice of paper, choice of cover. You know, do they want to do like a fabric cover? Do they want to do a custom image cover or a canvas cover? And then you maybe upgrade, oh, that would be too much money. 11 by 14, maybe make that 11 by 14 like a 16 by 20 print instead. So it's a little bit more valuable.
Okay.
But not a lot of cost for you, because that would cost you about $30, and that 11 by 14 probably costs you about 20.
Right.
So then get rid of those accordions, and that's a $20 cost right there. So you're kind of evening out things a little bit, but adding more value in the client's eyes. And then that makes the jump from platinum to diamond more attractive to the consumer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, yes. And then finally you were asking, I'm sorry, remind me, my brain is fried. I'm sorry, sweetie. You were talking about the final question. Oh, moving. Was it moving? Is that what we were talking about?
Yes.
Moving.
So I guess that's what makes me nervous is I won't have the word of mouth anymore. So, and obviously, you know, it's going to take a while to get SEO back, but my husband's pretty good at that. So hopefully he'll do that. But I guess when I move, I just need to get out there.
And you know, it's going to be very city dependent, of course. So every market is different. If you're moving to a large city, you're not going to have to worry about your pricing being too high for a specific market, because in a big city, there's the market share to handle that. I think the biggest thing you're going to need to do is going to be getting your name out there is going to be the hardest thing. And in a larger city, that's more challenging because you're a small fish in a big pond. Whereas in Fort Hood. In Fort Hood, it's a smaller town. It's easier to get the word out. It's easier to get people to know about you sooner. So I'm going to suggest, like, before you move, start researching vendor partners, start researching different events and schools you can do silent auctions at. It's going to take a good year of getting yourself, you know, pushing that marketing snowball down the hill for it to start rolling on its own and people actually coming in. I mean, I remember all too well when I first moved here to Bend, I had been in business in Portland, which is a city of 1 million people in Oregon. And then I moved to a town of 90,000. So it was actually a little easier to market in a smaller town than it is a larger city. But I remember being in your shoes and being like, oh my gosh, okay, I know how to run a business, but holy guacamole, like how do I get people to know about me? And what I did was a lot of research on what was lacking in the market. And what was lacking here was honestly a pet photographer. And I loved doing pets, and I had a dog myself. And so I managed to hook up with the Humane Society. And that was a really good partnership because everybody knew the Humane Society. Media loves to cover animals, you know, animals and kids, who doesn't love that? And so that kind of grew my status and people knowing about me here in town. And then about a year or two later, I decided, you know what, I love pets, but I'm really about babies. And so I transitioned to that niche into babies. So you're going to have to find vendors, you know, March of Dimes, Preemie Babies, NICU, stuff like that, where you, like your new town find the people who work with babies, who work with new moms, and get in with them and talk to them and network with them. And it's going to be a lot about getting to know people. You're going to want to join the Chamber of Commerce and go to those meetings and get to know. I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle for you in the new market. But by securing a few partnerships, really getting to know the different business owners and entrepreneurs in that area, always asking yourself, what can I do to help this business? They totally align with my ideal client. They serve the client I want to serve. How can I help them improve their business and in turn, reciprocate with business of my own? So if you can think about that in advance, if you know where you're going to be at, start contacting these vendors before you move, and then when you set up, you're going to have already the structure of a business that you had in Fort Hood. Take that, transplant it to the new city, and then it's going to take some legwork. I can tell my goodness, you're going to shoot 8 Bluebonnet sessions 8 days after you give birth, and you can do anything at this point.
I will do what I have to do.
I think you can do it. I'm not worried at all. Like with what you're doing and the quality of work you're producing after only 2 years of shooting, honey, you're going to be just fine. And a lot of it is just growing that self-confidence and like knowing that what you're doing is on the right path. And I hope this little mini mentoring kind of helped you see that perspective a little bit. You're doing a great, great job and you're gonna be just fine. And I know sometimes like that little voice in your head wants to attack you and go, you suck, but you don't at all. And your work is going to do nothing but improve. And I guess the biggest advice I can get you is, those little tweaks on your website, that first impression of the brand, that consistency across the board with the logo and the fonts and the colors. I think that's going to be the refinement of the brand. But overall, things do match. Obviously, you have a darling personality, a cute little studio, and people fall in love with you instantly, which is to your service. That's just work that. Work it, babe. But try not to let that little voice in your head criticize you, because if I was doing work like you were after 2 years in business, that would rock. It took me a lot longer to get as far as you are, hun. So congrats. You're going to be just fine. I'm confident, especially with that personality of yours.
Well, I will fix that website. That's going to happen
You're
before
like,
the baby's
I'm
born.
still going to do that like today. Before we give birth, baby. Baby, stay in. Don't go anywhere. I got shit to do.
I do.
I'm sorry.
I do, though.
Somebody needs Beth's going to have to bleep. Beth's like, I'm going to bleep that. Okay, we have a question. You want a question?
Yes.
Real quick before we sign off. Stephanie Rado says, I'm not sure if we are allowed to ask questions, but for example, if Mary Ann had a client who were to say, quote, can you send me your pricing guide via email, end quote, prior to an in-person consultation, would she do it? Or is that a no-no considering they can't see the products? What's your thought there? What do you do, girl?
This one gets me every time. Every time. It's like this battle in my head. I'm like, should I not? So I always try to get them on the phone first. I will not send it if they will not give me their number. So I will call them. But sometimes I get like grandmas who are coming to visit their military family here. And obviously I don't want to book that session without them seeing it.
Yeah.
Because that makes me extremely nervous. Like when they come into their IPS, I want them to already know what they want to invest. If they haven't seen it at all, I will panic. Like I cannot do that. So,
I know. Like it's a train wreck in the making. You're like, okay, this is not going to end well.
Yes. But then if I send it sometimes, obviously they're like, holy moly. They're thinking a Shutterfly book, or they're thinking a canvas that they have at Walgreens. So I don't know. I don't really know what the right thing to do is, but sometimes I do. After talking on the phone with them, if they cannot come in, I will.
You're absolutely right. I think the take-home message there is not, you and I think the same way in this regard. I don't want to send out complete pricing with at least being able to sell the experience first, like without getting to connect to the potential client, without getting to talk to them about their needs, without being able to communicate with them how we work and what happens and to be able to educate them and sell them that initial, like, hey, it's worth it to work with us. If I just send pricing out blindly, then 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get this door shut on my face, and it's going to be a train wreck in the beginning rather than in the IPS, which is good. But at the same time, I want that opportunity to be able to really drive the point home that the pricing is not the most important thing about working with us.
Right.
And I think that you kind of feel the same way in that regard. So Stephanie, great question. And I think it's just a matter of having that conversation, but you're right. Sometimes you can't get them in for the pre-consultation. And honestly, with new moms, like, I mean, you're a little bit of a different kind of new mom because you're on fire, but most new moms like don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to come in for that consultation. They're like 9 months pregnant and they feel like a heifer. And, you know, I've been there and done that and got that t-shirt. So talking to them on the phone and like being able to, I do most of my pre-consultations on the phone. And then we kind of talk to them about pricing and how it works that way, and then send them full pricing after that conversation. And usually, you know, Belinda's pretty good at the booking phone call at this point, and she usually gets them to book on the phone before we send them the full pricing, because we say to them, well, you're going to get all your files and an art piece for this price. And they're like, oh, okay, we can do that. They don't necessarily need to see the pricing. And that tends to work. So Stephanie, great question. So I guess the question for you, Marianne, is do you have any other questions? Anything else you want to ask?
No, I think you have covered it all.
Awesome. You are our great first mini mentoring student. I'm so tickled, and you have put up with a lot of technical issues with me in the last 24 hours. So
oh, you're fine. I had a heart attack when I was chosen. I was like, oh my gosh, she picked me. It's either a good thing or she's like, oh my God, this girl needs so much help. I have to help her.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, when I laugh I cackle sometimes. No, it was so fun, and I see so much promise and potential, and you're already killing it, and I'm super proud of you, and I barely even know you. But anyway, you're going to be just fine. I know moving to a new city is going to be challenging and scary. You know, as a military wife, I know there's a lot of you military wives out there who are struggling with this on a regular basis, but you're doing amazing, and just a few tweaks and minor things. And I think you see it. I think you see how that can all, I mean, just think of the major brands out there that you love and how consistent they are and what they do, and just kind of emulate that, try to match that, and you'll be just fine. So awesome. Well, Marianne, thank you so much. Let's do some quick wrap up here for guys who, let me get back to my screen sharing here to the right place. I just love your work. You're so cute. You got awesome stuff, girl. Okay, so for those of you who are watching online, you can join on YouTube or in the Jewel TV site. You can join us live on Tuesdays in our Facebook group to see this, ask questions of our students, and of course when we just have regular topics and don't have any special guests. And as always, where to find me, you can find us on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, and of course Periscope, and here in the Facebook group. And if you'd like to get the archives, of course, go to jewel-tv.com. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Julia, you got to share your screen in order for people to see it, right? Okay, there we go. You can see it now, right?
Yes, I see it.
Technical difficulties. So join us in the Facebook group to see these Jewel TV Taco Lattes, we call them. Facebook.com/groups/Julia Kelleher to join. We will approve you. Please make sure that it's pretty obvious you're a photographer on your Facebook profile. That way we can make sure and keep the group full of actual professional photographers. So again, here's where to find me. Of course, you can find all the archives for Taco Latte on jewel-tv.com, and you can download the freebies and stuff like that there. So thank you, my dear. You were awesome.
Thank you for having me.
We will sign off. Go ahead and stay online here for just a minute, and I'll sign off to Facebook Live, and we will see you guys all next week right here on Jewel TV. Thanks so much for joining us.